Whether you seek inspiration during your daily routine or desire to immerse yourself in captivating narratives, our stories are crafted for you. Let the adventure unfold. Story 1. Am I the a-hole for not wanting my girlfriend to be a surrogate of her friend? My longtime girlfriend told me recently that she's interested in being the surrogate for a child for a friend of hers who is gay and wants a child of his own. I respect her desire to help, and I told her, "This is your body, and I don't think I have a say in what you can or can't do with it. That being said, if you want to be the surrogate for him, I don't think I would want to continue this relationship any further." It's the start of a conversation here. I mean, it depends on how he said it. If he said it calmly, like kind of I just did, and that's the start of a deep conversation, then I don't think you're being an a-hole. You're just really laying what you feel on the line. And it depends on how long have they been dating. Were they looking towards getting married later on? And it is her decision, completely her decision. And unfortunately, there are also going to be consequences, and this person has just laid out the consequences right there. I don't think this is kind of a-hole behavior. What do you think? Story 2. Dealing with a locker thief in high school. This was back in the early 2000s, probably 2003-2004 school year. Throughout the entire year, there was a crime wave of people having things stolen out of their lockers. Not everyone, but enough that everyone knew someone it happened to. The school's only defense about this was that it was our fault for sharing locker combos with our friends. They also charged us every time we had to get the combination changed on a locker, like after a theft, for instance, because it was assumed to be our fault. Well, I had my graphing calculator taken out of my locker. I also never gave out my combination to anyone. Mostly because my friends were jerkwads and we pulled smeg on each other all the time. So I was out $150 for the calculator and another $150 to change the combination? Getting a locksmith to change out the lock? This is 2003 money, so it's a bit more than now. To anyone who has ever had to buy a TI-86 in 2003 or 2004, you'll know how much things cost. Well, my dad was drinking buddies with one of the county detectives. I'll call him Detective Buddy or Uncle Buddy. He went in to talk to the school about these strings of thefts going on so he could get the security camera for the day. My calculator went missing and got completely brushed off as it was a non-existent problem, and he must have given out his locker combination. The principal told him he would need a warrant to get the camera footage. Then, when he got the warrant, the school fought the warrant in court, citing student privacy. Cue the pro-revenge. Detective Buddy shows up at our house with a laptop in a laptop bag. He's like, "Throw this in your locker and tell everyone you know about your brand new laptop." "Okay, sure, Uncle Buddy." 3 days later, I show up at my locker between classes, and the laptop is gone. The bag, too, nowhere to be seen, as is a 24-ounce bottle of Coke and possibly some pens. I take my phone out and text him that the laptop got taken. "Stand by for the Smeg show. Oh, and you reported the theft to the police, for your information," he replies back. "Okay," I replied, confused. I go about the rest of my day, and I didn't hear anything back. The following morning, Detective Buddy comes to the school with 3 uniformed officers and pulls a student, Dave, out of class, as well as his mom, who works in the front office. The principal is ticked. I don't actually hear the cops, but the principal is ticked to no end that he had the audacity to accuse them of theft, and he couldn't just take them out of his school, etc., etc. Well, turns out there was a tracker in the laptop bag, and Uncle Buddy got a warrant to search a particular house. The laptop had a value of over $1,000, making it a felony. The next afternoon, he set up a tent with a table just outside of school grounds. He also had a banner across the top. If you have had something stolen from your locker, see me. By the next morning, Dave and his mom made the paper. Apparently, Dave allegedly used his mom's login information to get onto the school network and get the locker combinations for basically everyone. Then he just opened random lockers looking for valuables to steal, if he didn't get info on a specific locker to steal from. When he set up the stand to get more people reporting thefts, he racked up an astounding number of charges. Each locker counted as a separate misdemeanor unless the stolen object was worth more than $1,000, in which case it was a felony. In less than a week, Uncle Buddy opened and broke an investigation, and they charged Dave and his mom with 9 felonies and 35 misdemeanor charges. When I finally got the story from Buddy, he explained what the situation was. He had me stash a brand new laptop that had a GPS tracking unit stuck in it in my locker, then got it stolen deliberately, and then he got a warrant to search the property it had been taken to. Now, the fun thing to stress is that the laptop was over $1,000 worth, pushing the theft from a misdemeanor to felony level. There was also another 8 felony charges, stuff like jewelry that was stolen from other people's locker and recovered. So any of the locker break-ins that amounted to over $1,000 stolen was a felony charge, and less than $1,000 was a misdemeanor charge. Cool thing was, because the calculator and the laptop were separate days, and the combination changed between the days, he caught a felony and misdemeanor charge off me alone. The 9 felony thefts ended up in the $12,000 range total, and the 35 misdemeanor charges were somewhere in the range of $3,000 in total. Now that's an awful lot of stuff stolen, but I need to stress that this is only what was proven stolen. Like, this is what they caught him in possession with that they could trace back to someone. They also didn't let them plead to anything. It was Podunkville's highest profile crime in years, and without a doubt one of the worst crime sprees the county had seen in decades. Next up on the revenge? Everyone who had been charged $150 to get their locker combinations changed sued the school district in a class action lawsuit. The justification was that the school did nothing to investigate the 44 proven and more likely 200 plus cases of locker theft, and then charged money to get the locker combinations changed. There were 218 people in the class, and in total, everyone got $85 after attorney fees. The principal also lost his job for being a bonehead and not bothering to attempt to deal with a massive problem that was reported to him going on at the school. The fun thing I need to point out is that the school brought in a locksmith to change out the locks, and that's why they justified charging $150. Well, the school already paid the $150 a locker, but they also had to return $100 per locker, meaning that they were out $21,800 plus their legal fees for that class action lawsuit. Next comes the criminal trial and the fallout. The prosecutor's deal was 10 years in prison, 5 in juvie and 5 in adult prison for Dave, and 15 for Dave's mom. Well, they refused that deal and it went to trial. Dave got 1 year prison for each felony, the state minimum, and 1 month probation for each misdemeanor. So 9 years plus 35 months of probation. His mom received 18 years of jail and 6 years probation. Having attended much of the best parts of the trial, I will say this. They had Dave on camera entering 20 plus lockers, and they had them in possession of stolen goods for every single charge they made against them. The judge was also not amused that they were likely other reported crimes that they got away with, but they couldn't prove it or they weren't reported. Dave's mom got it worse. That was a fun sentencing to show up for. But the most important thing is that I got my graphing calculator back. I had my name engraved inside the battery compartment. I still have it as well as a cool story to tell. Man, the principal was a bonehead. What was he thinking? They had camera footage. If he had made some kind of effort at all to review the footage and tried to do something, it would have probably lessened what happened to him. But what about the mom? I mean, the mom must have knowingly let Dave use the login information. She really got it bad. I almost thought she might have rolled over on her son for that. But just really satisfying all around, especially when you've got an uncle who's on the police force. Really fun story. Story 1. Am I the a-hole for uninviting my cousin, brother, uncle, and dad to my wedding over a prank? I, female 22, grew up in a family where men prank and tease each other. Ever since my fiancé, Tim 23, and I got engaged, my cousin, brother, dad, and uncle joked about running some tests to see what type of man Tim is. They've done stuff like forcing him to play chess 4 times in a row, secretly slashed his tires to see if he'd fix it himself like a man or get help like those lazy guys. They'd asked him questions like what joke he'd like to tell his future mother-in-law, his opinions on abortion, Jesus, gender equality, etc. They also tested his fishing and hunting skills, overwhelmed him with hypothetical scenarios to test his decision-making abilities and mental strength. They kept calling him slow and soft, but he has a medical condition, asthma. But they think he's making excuses. I demanded they stop, but Dad said this is just typical stuff men challenge each other with, and said that I was ruining their fun. Last week, they took Tim on a 3-day trip and hid his inhaler. He left them and returned in 7 hours and told me. I was seething after he said they admitted to hiding it as a challenge. I exploded on them when they returned. Cousin asked if little Timmy ran to me to tattle. I yelled that all 4 of them are uninvited to my wedding. My brother freaked out, saying it was a prank and they were going to give it back. Dad said they'll apologize if I insist, but Tim will have lost the little respect they'd gained for him, and in their eyes will always be the soft college kid who's not up to the challenge. I called him and the others awful. Then I left. My cousin is begging that we talk. My uncle has been quiet, but Dad is so mad, and now he's getting Mom involved to get me to reconsider this decision. And I keep refusing to reinvite them. Mom is saying I'm exaggerating and should let bygones be bygones and not let this ruin my relationship with the family. Am I the a-hole for making it my hill to perish on, or am I exaggerating? I was going back through the list of everything they were doing to him. This was beyond pranks. This was like hazing, like dangerous hazing if they were taking away an asthma inhaler from someone who has asthma. This is not someone being soft. This is someone who has a serious medical condition. And they're just trading bargaining chips back and forth. It sounds like the guys in the family are kind of willing to perish on this hill too. I don't think it's too exaggerated. They're not going to have any respect for him either way, I don't think. I don't think it matters whether they're invited to the wedding or not to continue their relationship with the fiancé. Story 2. You do know this is first class, don't you? A few years back, I went traveling in my younger years. I was looking forward to getting home, so I booked a seat in a first-class train carriage as I had just come off a 30-plus hour flight, and I was exhausted. When I got on the train home, I found my seat. A man who was maybe in his 60s turned around and asked me, "You do know this is the first-class carriage, don't you?" Granted, I did look and smell awful after not having had a shower for 35 hours. I responded, "Yes, I'm fully aware, because I booked a seat here." He gave me a snooty look and just grunted at me. After resuming my seat, he then had the gall to ask me to stow his bag at the racks at the top like I was his slave or something. Reluctantly, I did it. I was young. Now I'm older. I'm still fuming about this now. I would have told him where to go. Oh, and on the whole train journey, he was on his phone talking about party conferences. So I assume he was a politician, which literally explains everything. I had to get this off my chest. It's just plain prejudice, judging someone just based on their appearance. I was expecting this older guy, to demand to see the person's ticket or something. And, at least it didn't turn out that way. But demanding, like you're a slave, to put your suitcase up there after trying to intimate that you don't belong in a first-class seat like this, it's kind of a ballsy move there. Story 1. Am I the a-hole for blowing up on my mom and brother after they said they don't like the way my girlfriend dresses? I, 29 male, have been with my girlfriend, 27 female, for 5 years. I honestly think she's the one, and have recently often thought about popping the question. However, a recent family gathering has made tensions high between our families. While attending my brother's, 26 male, girlfriend's birthday party at their house, my mother and my brother brought me to the kitchen and confronted me and told me that my girlfriend needs to dress more modestly and that they have a problem with her not wearing a bra. I'm not sure if it's because she's my longtime girlfriend, but even though she weighs around 160 pounds, her not wearing a bra has never stuck out to me before, and I hadn't even really noticed until they had pointed it out to me. My mother told me her breasts are too big for her not to wear a bra, and that even her boyfriend has commented on it before, saying that when she's in the room and because she's not wearing a bra, that's the only thing you can look at. My brother then confessed to me that his girlfriend, 26 female, also has had a problem with my girlfriend not wearing a bra, and that it has caused multiple fights between the two of them because she's afraid my brother's eyes will wander, as she secretly is afraid he likes overweight girls. I never thought of my girlfriend as overweight, and thought for her height she looked about average built for her weight. After hearing them say this, I couldn't help but feel angry on her behalf. My girlfriend has mentioned to me offhandedly before that she doesn't like wearing bras because they make her chest feel very tight and uncomfortable. I simply told my mom and brother, okay. I then went out to the party from the kitchen where we'd been talking and got my girlfriend and left. A few minutes later, after I got home, my brother called me asking me why I had left, and I let him know exactly how I'd felt about their little talk with me. That I didn't think my girlfriend's body shape or the way she dresses is anyone's business, and that if people wanted to be creepy and stare at her, that wasn't her fault. My mom then got on the phone and told me that my girlfriend needs to have respect for other people and self-respect when she dresses herself. Mind you, my girlfriend has been wearing a t-shirt and jeans to this birthday party. That her weight and body makes people uncomfortable, and she should dress to accommodate that. I told them how important I think it is for my girlfriend to be comfortable in the clothes she's wearing, and if she can't be comfortable around my family, then we don't need to see them anymore. My brother and my mom start to scream at me over the phone, which evolved into a screaming match between the three of us. I don't think I'm in the wrong, but I wanted a second opinion in case I'm being dramatic or brash. So am I the a-hole for blowing up on my mom and brother after they said they don't like the way my girlfriend dresses? For blowing up? If they're shouting at you, I don't think matching that energy is really going to solve anything. The way you were talking before, just saying, I don't think there's an issue, I think the issue is with you, and then just taking the girlfriend and leaving, getting the girlfriend out of the way of everybody's problem, was the right way to go. I don't think screaming back at them was the way to go. Doesn't make you an a-hole, but maybe just don't match that energy and maybe just hang up. Story 2. You're not to get involved in your mom's Facebook stuff. My dad's words years ago when I started a discussion with my mom over some dumb racist stuff she said on Facebook. Facebook brings out the worst in my mother, who in real life used to be a lovely woman, but over the years got lost in her echo chamber of stupidity. I tried getting her out, but I'm not going to get involved in my mom's Facebook stuff. Today, there was an illegal protest in my city. A protest organized on Facebook by the lowest of the low in our society. We have a group of about 100 delusionals in the country who were actually willing to get from behind their keyboards and disrupt public transportation in my city any opportunity they can in the name of the people. My parents, not a part of the 100, but seemed to be well on their way, went to today's protest. The protest was illegal. They were told to separate and leave. They didn't. They got arrested. Ha ha ha. They didn't have any form of identification on them, so they were not allowed to leave. My dad called for the first time this afternoon asking me to go to their place, pick up the IDs, and then the police station. I asked if this was about the Facebook event. He said yes, and I said, I better not get involved then. Hung up and ignored his next 17 calls. My aunt apparently went to pick them up later tonight, and everyone's ticked at me saying I'm a traitor, except for Grandma, who called to say she misses me, and I haven't been able to get the grin off my face. He's kind of in the right. It's kind of a malicious compliance going on here. You don't want him to get involved. He's not involved. Should have thought of that before you realized the ID was at his place. So yeah. I don't think there's anything, there's a bit of maliciousness going on here, but they were able to get out of jail and everything, so no harm, no foul.
Please like and subscribe if you've made it this far. I hope you'll enjoy the rest of the video and have a wonderful day.
Story 1. Am I the a-hole for throwing away my girlfriend's unalive best friend's t-shirt? I know it sounds bad, but hear me out. I've been with my girlfriend for a couple of years, and we live together. My girlfriend lost her best friend of 10 years her senior year of college. They had gone through a lot together, but the best friend had some untreated mental health issues, and she lost the fight against her depression. My girlfriend was the one who found her. They lived together at the time. This caused my girlfriend to spiral. She wound up helping the parents go through her stuff. She now has a box of old journals that were her best friends. They had a pact that if one passes away, they wouldn't let anyone else read them, too embarrassing or something. A t-shirt, some art she had done, and a bunch of scrapbooks. My girlfriend was in a dark place for a long time. I met her a couple of years after the incident, and it's taken time, but she has gotten better. She was and is in counseling for grief and other stuff. She used to talk about the friend constantly, but now it's down to every once in a while. Now, generally, when I clean, I take stuff and put it in a bag and tell her to go through it before I throw it out. Today, I was going through our closet and was making donation and throwaway piles. I asked her to go through it when I was done, but she had a lot of work and said it was probably fine. She generally doesn't care too much about her clothes, and I think she was overwhelmed. Well, I threw out the stuff that was worn and old and ripped, etc. Then, after I showered, my girlfriend came yelling at me, demanding to know where the t-shirt was. I asked her what t-shirt, and she said the one belonging to her passed-away best friend. I asked if she lost it, and she said no, it was in the closet. So then I said it might have gotten thrown out. She just started screaming at me. I asked her to go through the piles, but she said no. But then she said that it should have never been in the piles given how much she's talked about the friend, and that apparently she told me the story behind the t-shirt. I don't recall it. I knew there was a story, and I knew there was a t-shirt, but I never paid enough attention to which shirt. Well, she has now taken a bag to her brother's. I just don't get why she's so upset. She has all of these other things to remember a friend by. A t-shirt isn't that big of a deal. No, you are the a-hole. You should have paid more attention. This was something she has gone through with her friend for a while, and she has gone through a lot with it. You would no sooner throw a t-shirt out knowing about it than throwing out those diaries she was keeping, the journals. That is a very big thing. That's something you should have paid attention to. I mean, it's good that you're helping her and supporting her get better, but yeah, communicate a little bit more. That should have been something you should have kept an eye out for. Definitely the a-hole. Story 2. Don't tell people you're leaving. Okay, I won't. About 10 years ago, during my first full-time job out of college, I had a boss who decided she hated me. I'm not completely sure why, but she would go out of her way to make my life miserable. Demoted me to an overnight shift, but wouldn't give me a reason. Changed my shift around on a whim without notice. Once changed my schedule for the next day after I had left without telling me, then wrote me up when I didn't show up on time. Stuff like that. She was a monster, so I was looking for another job. Well, I found one, and I went in to give her my 2 weeks' notice. This happened to be in the middle of a mass exodus for the company, as I was the 5th person to quit over the course of about 3 to 4 weeks. Morale was very low, and whenever anyone quit, she would buy pizza for everyone instead of addressing why the place was so miserable and people were leaving. After I gave her 2 weeks' notice, she said, "Don't tell anyone you're leaving." So I said, "Okay," and walked out of her office and announced to all my coworkers, "Hey, guess what, everyone? You're all getting pizza." And they instantly knew what had happened. She was very unhappy, and I felt great. I served out the rest of my 2 weeks, and she never spoke to me again. Yeah, the way she treated you, if she was switching things around on you and demoting you and doing all this stuff, I really don't see any kind of downside to this. You were just kind of doing what she was doing to you all that time, and you were kind of maliciously compliant. Definitely were not telling anybody that you were leaving. Story 3. Entitled mom shoves her kid into my classroom and runs. Not sure if this is entitled parents or choosing beggars. For context, in my late teens and early 20s, I ran a free after-school program for kids out of a community center. The program was for kids aged 8 to 12 whose parents were currently undergoing a messy divorce. We had a sister program next door for parents of the kids. It was part class, part community group, part group counseling. With the kids, myself and another volunteer discussed handling anger, preparing them for joint custody, changes in finances, what alimony and child support were, etc. The class was free. Some of the materials were paid for by the center, and the rest I covered myself. I liked the class, and it gave me a bit of padding on my resume, so I didn't mind buying snacks, coloring materials, and prizes for the kids. At the time, we were a few weeks into the class, and I had 8 kids who were attending. 8 is a great number, because do you know how many things come in packs of 8? It meant I bought stuff in those 8 packs so each kid would have something and I didn't waste money on spares. So this afternoon, the kids are coming in, and this parent I haven't met with an unknown child comes by and sort of drops the kid off without a word to me or her child. It's been a few years, but here's the conversation as I remember it. Me, ma'am, entitled mom. What? Me, hi, I don't think we've met. Your son isn't enrolled in this class currently. You can't just drop him off with me. Entitled mom. I was told this class was free. Me. It is, but it's not a daycare. You do have to enroll your child first, and at the beginning of the term. I can't watch any child who comes by. There are things I need to know, like allergies, emergency contacts, his name. Entitled mom. Well, you can ask me right now. Me. I'm sorry, but the class is starting right now, so I can't. but you can enroll him in the next term. You can find information on how to do that at insert information. Entitled mom, rolling her eyes. I have an appointment. Can't you just take him? For the record, the parents were supposed to be enrolled in the class across the hall, not just use us for free childcare. Me, I can't. Besides, I didn't know I'd have another student today, so I don't have enough supplies or snacks for him. Entitled mom. Oh, he doesn't need any snacks. He won't mind. Me. Ma'am, of course he's going to mind. All the kids eating Nutella snack packs and Capri Suns, and that all the other kids have workbooks and he doesn't. It's not fair to him. Besides, it's not really safe for me to watch a child that I have no information for, so you can sign him up for the next term. Entitled mom gets all huffy. Fine. EM grabs her kid and storms off. That was the end of it, or so I thought. A few minutes later, I'm working with the kids, and the other volunteer is setting up our next activity. The door opens a crack. The same kid as before is shoved in, and the door slams. The other volunteer and I share a what the hell look, but I open the door and look out, and entitled mom is booking it down the hallway. Me, ma'am! Entitled mom, yelling without turning around. I'll be back in a few hours. Me, never mind, the class is only an hour long. Half running after her. Ma'am, if you don't come and collect your son, I will call the police about an unaccompanied minor. He won't be here when you get back. Entitled mom stops, sighs, turns around and pegs me with a glare. You are being so inflexible. This is terrible customer service. Me, you're not a customer. Please take your son. Entitled mom grabs her kid's hand and starts storming off while yelling, I can't believe you would call the police on a child. What kind of teacher are you? I'm going to tell your boss about how horrible you were to me and my son. To this day, I wonder if she attempted to talk to my boss about my behavior, or imagining the look on her face when she found out the boss of the program was me. Yeah, child care is expensive. Everybody has trouble finding a sitter. I can sympathize with someone trying to find a way to have someone look after their kid while they get to an appointment, but this is just really entitled behavior. Just thinking they'll look after the kid. I think she was preying on these people being emotional and kind of, oh, you poor thing, here, we'll watch you. No, I think they did the right thing by saying, hey, we'll call the cops about an unaccompanied minor. Just completely the right thing. This woman is kind of being negligent, and we don't even know what the appointment is. We don't know if it's a job interview appointment or if it's just an appointment to hang out with friends. Story 1. Am I the a-hole for telling my brother it's not my fault his parrot likes me more than him? My brother has an African gray. He asked me to take care of her for 1 month while he and my sister-in-law went on their honeymoon. When he dropped her off, I asked, where are her toys? He said, I never bought any toys for her. Waste of money. I thought that the bird might be bored, so I bought her some toys from a pet shop. They might be the reason she started allowing me to pet her, or it might be something else that made us grow closer during that time. When my brother came back and saw how cuddly she got with me, he got upset since she's not that affectionate with him, and that I bribed her with toys to make her like me more than him. I told him that if it's the toys, then it's not my fault he didn't get her any, which upset him further. Only realized I was kind of mean with that jab afterwards. Am I the a-hole? Update. I talked to my brother and showed him the comments here in a few articles outlining how African greys need a lot of stimulation to be healthy. He was surprised to find out that his pet might start plucking out her own feathers and harming herself out of boredom and depression. Admitted that he wasn't ready to deal with a high-maintenance bird before saying I can keep her. So I have a bird now. Maybe the way you said it made you the a-hole. If you just say, hey, it's not my fault she likes me better. But maybe say something along the lines of, well, I'm very sorry, I've read this. I thought she might be bored, and I found out now this and this about African greys. If it's just the toys, you can have them and blah, blah, blah. But it worked out. This person ended up getting a parrot and a very lovable pet, one that cares for him. So great, cool, glad it worked out. Story 2. The speaker is requesting the police to investigate a black man walking down the street. I used to work as a 911 dispatcher, and I once took a call from a lady who was complaining about a black man walking down the street. He was doing nothing wrong, except, as she put it, he's black and walking down the street. She insisted an officer be dispatched to speak with her, and we had a policy that we had to dispatch. So, I sent the only black officer on duty. It was out of his area, but a computer message to him and the supervisor made it obvious why he was going. When he arrived, she went nuts and called again, screaming that there was now a black man knocking on her door. I said, "Yes, this is the police officer you requested." Ultimately, I had to send the supervisor out because she refused to open the door and was throwing a huge fit on the phone. Would this be malicious compliance? She's racist, and it seems she's consistent. That's about all. But I don't get it. I'm just walking down the street. What has gone on in her past? And whatever it is, it still is not anything to justify her behavior. It's just straight up racist. And it's made all the more obvious when a black officer is knocking on her door. Story 1. Am I the a-hole for being an ungrateful, spoiled brat for the Christmas gift my husband got me? I, female 35, want to begin by saying that every holiday, me and my husband, male 33, we both work decent jobs, set separate budgets for gifts. He uses his own money to buy gifts, and I do the same. We've been married for almost a year, together for 3. This is our first Christmas as a married couple. He made a list of every person he wanted to buy a gift for. I stumbled upon this list by accident and out of curiosity decided to take a look. I found that his friends and coworkers were on top of his list with gifts that cost over $5,000 total. For example, he got a $600 wristwatch for his coworker, a $250 bracelet for his sister-in-law, and a $900 workout gear for his friend. There was more, but that's all I can remember. What made me upset was that when I got to my name, I saw that he bought me a $20 something kitchen spoon set, stainless steel. I was too shocked to ignore this, and I had a confrontation with him about it. He argued that A, it's his money, he's the one paying, so I should not control that, and B, his coworkers and friends are important to him and he's known them for ages, and C, he said a gift should be appreciated no matter what it cost. I argued that he was disrespecting me and dismissing my feelings with the gift he chose to get me, not to mention that I spend a lot of money for his gifts to buy him his favorite shoe and gaming brands, but he got upset and said I was acting like an ungrateful, spoiled brat and urged me to get rid of this attitude and accept what I'm giving. The argument got worse and we stopped talking to each other. He still says I'm being ridiculous with my overreaction and should stop. Did I overreact? You're kind of on shaky water for snooping to begin with. This isn't like you're negotiating salary by figuring out what everyone else that you're working for is getting paid. Are you competing with his friends? And say you didn't know about all the other gifts. Would you have been happy with what he got you? Yeah, I think you kind of are the a-hole for being kind of ungrateful about this. If there's something really specific that you wanted, you should have said something, and not the usual hint thing, just kind of speak up and say it, make it known. Story 2. I got fired and cost the store approximately $30,000. I was working a second job at our local small grocery and butcher shop a few nights a week to pay for my kids' activities. I was hired as a cashier. The person that did the end-of-day butcher shop cleanup and sanitizing quit. So instead of hiring someone to clean up, the owners decided that the cashiers could just do it between customers. The owner sat at their office watching TV and messing around, and when a customer came in, a doorbell would ring. They would buzz the phone in the butcher area for the cashier to come check them out. When I came in for my shift at 6 p.m., I was told about the new setup. I told them no. I was not hired to clean up the butcher area. I was hired to run the register and stock shelves. The owner then said I would clean the butcher shop or I could consider myself fired. And they walked away. I said, fine. I grabbed my things and left. Apparently, the owner thought I had given in and was doing the cleaning. So they buzzed the butcher area when customers came in for about 2 hours before someone told them no one was coming to check them out. The store's liquor area, cigarettes, and scratchers got emptied out. It was 7:30, and I got a screaming phone call from the owner about how he was calling the police and I was going to get arrested. Yeah, right. Owner did call the police. The owner stated he wanted me arrested as an accomplice to the thefts because I had left. Cops asked me to come to the store, which I did, and I explained that the owner had fired me. So I went home, and the CCTV would prove the fact. The tape was reviewed, and as plain as day, the owner said I was fired. I estimate they lost about $30,000. Don't make ultimatums if you can't afford to get called on them. And this person, this owner, should have just done some of the cleaning himself. As an owner, as someone who is running a business, you have to do whatever it takes to keep it running. Sure, you were able to have a little cushy time just sitting back and watching TV or whatever, but things have changed and now it's time to step up. It's not your fault that this person decided to take you up on the part of the offer you weren't planning on them taking. Story 3. Entitled mother accuses me of stealing my own car keys. This happened yesterday, and yes, it's as stupid as it sounds. So for some quick context, I'm a cleaner at a private school. It costs something like £25,000 a year to send your kids here. So you can imagine the amount of rich entitled hogwash that goes on. You already know who entitled mother and I are, so let's get into it. It's 4 p.m., and I've been at work for an hour just getting on with what I'm doing, and the entitled mother comes storming into the classroom I'm cleaning. Entitled mother, you need to move your car. Me, what? Why? Entitled mother, speaking very slowly and loudly for some reason, you need to move your car. Me, copying her tone, no, I don't. Entitled mother does some confused blinking. Why are you talking like that? Me, because you are. Entitled mother, ugh, whatever, just move your stupid car. It's blocking me, and I have an appointment. Me, lady, my car isn't blocking you. I'm parked along the back row by a hedge, blocking nobody. Entitled mother, you're lying. Come and move your car right now. This goes on for about 5 minutes, and eventually I figure out that she won't shut up unless I do something. Me, look, if I prove that my car isn't the one blocking you, will you get out of my face? Entitled mother, finally, just move this stupid thing so I can go. So I go get my keys from the cupboard where my stuff is. Entitled mother practically glued to my shoulder the whole time. Go to the car park, press the button on my key, and the lights blink on my beat-up Fiat in the corner. Me, see? My car, right there, not blocking anyone. Thinking that's the end of it, I turned to go back to my job, and she started screaming behind me. You stole those keys. That's not your car. Your car is in front of mine. Get your keys right now and move it. Me. Okay. Which car do you think is mine? I figure it's a staff member's car. I could direct the crazy shrew to them. She marched over to a Range Rover, presumably hers, which was blocked in by a brand new Porsche. A brand new fracking Porsche, and glared at me. I must have stared at her for like 10 seconds before I started laughing my butt off. Me, lady, if you think I could afford that car on a part-time cleaning job, you must be delusional. She then started yelling about how I'm deliberately stopping her leaving and she's going to have my car towed. But I just walked away. I don't get paid enough to deal with that stuff. I have no idea what happened after that, but I really hope the Porsche driver didn't leave for another few hours just to stick it to her. Does this entitled mother have any idea how salaries work for different positions? Does she think because it's a very expensive tuition to send your kid here that all the staff make buco bucks or something? I mean, the person proved which car was theirs. What else could this person do? I don't get it.
Please leave your story in the comments. I would love to make a video on them in the future. Also, don't forget to like and subscribe.